Welcome back to Good Morning Europe. Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in Greece for an official state visit, which could see Beijing's controversial Belt and Road Initiative take further steps into Europe. The strategy has divided Europe in recent years, but with an economy ravaged by the financial crisis, Athens has jumped at the opportunity for much-needed investment, whilst other European states have aired warnings about allowing a rival power to take stakes in such vital infrastructure. Simela Tushtidu reports on China's growing ambitions in the home of democracy.
It was in the 1990s when products made in China started flowing into the Greek market. Trade relations between Greece and China have grown rapidly ever since. Lately, Chinese capital started pouring into the Greek economy, boosting it by 7.5 billion euros.
Chinese investors in Greece are interested in transport, green energy, real estate, tourism, shipping. Greece's role is crucial because the Pireaus port is the closest point to the Suez Canal. As the Chinese president has said, this is the dragon's head for the Silk Road. Greece also has the infrastructure to ensure transfer of the Chinese products to the rest of Europe.
When one thinks of Chinese investments in Greece, Costco and the port of Pireaus first come into mind. Under the Chinese management, the port's capacity was greatly improved, creating hundreds of new jobs. However, the business community of Pireaus is asking for a greater share of the success.
Of course, we are proud of the fact that we are now the first port in the Mediterranean. This is for the benefit of the local society and economy. But we would like it to be more obvious. The keyword I would use is reciprocity. We have provided these infrastructures, the geographical location, which is very important for the Chinese company, and we would like a return on the local society and economy.
Real estate is another popular destination for Chinese investors, especially since it combines the possibility for a golden visa. More than 4,000 Greek properties have passed into Chinese hands, many of which are subsequently leased through short-term leasing platforms.
Well, for more on this, we're joined live now by Simela Tushtidu, who's in Athens. Simela, Greece represents only really a small proportion of Chinese investment in Europe, but we've seen that the port of Pireaus there is hugely important. What exactly do they want the port to become?
Well, the Chinese call the port of Pireaus the head of the dragon of the One Belt, One Road initiative. They use this term because the port of Pireaus is of huge importance for the maritime road of the shipping lanes. It is the first port the ships encounter once they cross the Suez Canal. It is a European port, which means that it works as a gate for the Chinese goods to reach every corner of the European market. So the Chinese government is greatly interested in this investment and plans to expand it even further. It is also interested in having a bigger logistics center in the region and a faster railway connection with the Balkan countries and the Central European countries. The president of China, Xi Jinping, arriving in Athens, has talked about a new chapter in the strategic partnership between China and Greece and asked for closer ties between the two countries. This issue will be on the top of his agenda once he meets the Greek Prime Minister, Pireaus later today.
Simela Tushtidu, thanks very much for that. Well, Jonas Plesner is a senior advisor at Rasmussen Global, a political consultancy firm. He joins us now for more on this. Thanks very much for coming on Good Morning Europe. Early this year, we saw Italy become the first G7 country to join up to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Now we've got Greece increasingly looking to Beijing. How much of a concern is all this Chinese investment for Europe?
Well, it's an increasing concern, I mean, in two ways, both on the whole question of what are the sort of long-term political influence that comes with this. That's why Europe has also made an investment screening instrument that's coming into place. And then, of course, there's the whole question of economic reciprocity Europe is very open to investment and China is not as open in the same way. That So those are sort of the two factors at play. And I think we see this at the same time as at the European level, we have a much sort of stronger stance on China. There's even was earlier this year talk of labeling China as a systemic rival. And then we see bilateral visits such as this in Greece, where it's the red carpet and open arms. And the Greek government has been very open to Chinese investments, been very open to Chinese initiative, as you mentioned, the Belt and Road, but also what's called the 16+1, which is a Chinese sort of led initiative with Eastern European countries that Greece has now joined as well. Greece has been relatively soft-spoken on questions as China and human rights. So in that sense, of course, this is the type of partner that the Chinese like.
And is Europe right to be worried? Certainly, I mean, on trade, for instance, China would always have to sign up to European standards.
True, and there is an element now to be a little bit fair to the Greeks. I mean, they were 5 years ago, or during the height of the euro crisis, they were told to sell off their state assets. They did, which was where the port of Pireaus that there's a lot of talk about, bought by the Chinese state-owned company COSCO, and they did it at that time. And at that time, everybody from Germans to sort of the finance leaders of Europe were saying just sell all of it, and there was no talk about that. At that time, that selling it to China would pose a risk, and now people are coming back saying, hey, but maybe you shouldn't have sold it to the Chinese. So I do also see it a little bit from the Greek perspective that they feel sort of cornered on this.
So Greece has signed up to the Belt and Road Initiative, like Italy earlier. Who's next among European countries?
Well, there's definitely probably going to be more. I think among the bigger countries, France, as we saw recently in their visit, Macron's visit to China, has been trying to sort of really push for European priorities. I think we will not necessarily see it among the sort of the big countries, France and Germany. But definitely that there could be other smaller countries like Portugal that would be interested in joining this and getting a favorable treatment from Beijing based on that.
Jonas Pireaus-Plesner, thanks very much for joining us on Good Morning Europe.